level of involvement that they have in this issue. May I now invite Advocate A.N.S. Nadkarni, the Advocate General for Goa, to make his comments.
Honorable Chief Minister, Minister for Water Resources, Leader of Opposition, Chief Engineer in the President International Center, ladies and gentlemen. By now, you have heard the Chief Engineer who has explained to you the history of the entire dispute and how it began. Fairly, all of you must be having somewhat a skeleton idea of what this dispute is. River Mahadai, which becomes Mandovi in the state of Goa, originates, as the Chief Engineer said, somewhere in Karnataka. The total length of the river is about 111 kilometers. Out of this 111 kilometers, 36 kilometers is in Karnataka. 76 kilometers is in Goa. Out of this 76 kilometers, 52 kilometers in Goa is saline water. Up to Ganjem, it is saline. That too, it has not gone beyond Ganjem because our Water Resources Department has constructed a weir there to arrest the salinity beyond that point. Now, a brief history about Karnataka. Karnataka is singular state which has a dispute with not just Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, as the leader of opposition mentioned. It has dispute with Tamil Nadu, insofar as Kaveri River is concerned, with Kerala. It has dispute with Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra. And this habitual dispute of theirs has, since the year 1968, they have gone to the extent of setting up a river dispute department. In other words, Karnataka has a full-fledged river dispute department, like we have education department, water resources department. It also has a chief engineer for that river dispute department. And mind you, it has a team of almost about 40 lawyers, out of which around 5 or 6 are senior advocates. The rest are all lawyers, and all 40 lawyers come for the hearing. Sometimes it's better for Goa because too many cooks can spoil the dish. True. But have another instance of Karnataka, wherein Karnataka was directed by the tribunal by way of an interim award to release a particular amount of water in Kaveri. The dispute was heard. They went to the Supreme Court, challenged that interim award. They lost it there. It was expected that Karnataka, in the normal course, as a law-abiding federating unit of our federation called the Union of India, would honor that particular tribunal's verdict. What Karnataka does is, it comes out with an ordinance. Governor issues an ordinance under Article 213, whereby it straight away overrules the judgment of the tribunal and says Karnataka shall not be required to release any water or honor the tribunal's award. In fact, it was unknown in the history of any country in the world wherein a state has behaved like this. Fortunately, the Supreme Court came down very heavily on Karnataka and set aside and quashed that particular ordinance. So, dispute by Karnataka, there is nothing to be surprised about it. Today, on a river like Mandovi, which is in fact a monsoon flowing river, please note, unlike Krishna and Kaveri, ours is not a perennial river, it's only a monsoon flowing river. If you go today to Karnataka where the river originates, you will not find a drop of water, it is absolutely dry. So, it's the river which flows through the canals, through the nalas, etc. And that is how the water gets accumulated. We are a riparian state, they are an upstream state. It is not that Karnataka is not at all entitled to utilize the waters which are there in that river. For example, Karnataka would be well within its right to utilize the water within the Madai basin for river drinking water purposes of their local community. Goa would not be able to object to that. Karnataka in the normal course can also have minor irrigation projects or medium irrigation projects within Madai basin. But what Goa is agreed about is basically two things. One, on this small river, Madai, Karnataka has proposed 12 dams at every nala, at every location wherein the water flows to Goa. Even if any Haltara dam on the Haltara Nala, it's right within Madai Wildlife Sanctuary. So it's a scant regard for law. We are supposed to have the Western Ghats, which has been a protected zone. The United Nations Organization, UNESCO have all, in fact, said that it's a protected zone. Supreme Court has called it the hottest hotspot of biodiversity. But yet, Karnataka proposes a dam right within the Madai Wildlife Sanctuary. It also starts work right 100 meters away from that particular sanctuary. Now, I am surprised and astonished, but when it comes to Karnataka, anything is possible. If you can overrule a judgment of the tribunal in this manner, then doing this brazen lawlessness is something which is very habitual for Karnataka. With the 12 dams, even if any of the 4 dams become material, Dudhsagar would stop. There would be no waterfall in Dudhsagar. The Surla Nala, which is the other flow, the Surla waterfall, that would stop. With the 2 waterfalls stopping, it would severely affect the biodiversity, it would affect the flora fauna, it would affect the rich vegetation, it would affect the forest species, it would affect the wildlife, it would affect the whole ecological system, because there is a particular ecosystem which is there present in that entire basin. Now what Karnataka wants to do is construct 12 dams here, and not that they want to stop with the 12 dams. After constructing the 12 dams, they want to divert the water from Madai basin to an altogether different basin called the Malaprabha basin. Initially when the Karnataka started, their whole argument was, we require drinking water of 3 TMC. If it was within in-basin requirement, obviously Goa would not have had much objection about it, but it was diverting outside the basin. From 3, they went to 7.5, then in no time they went to 15, and immediately shifted. Today their demand is for 24 TMC. Now mind you, Karnataka, when it filed their first statement of claim before the tribunal, said that our requirement is only for drinking water. We produced documents and showed that in Hubli-Dharwad area, your own politicians have made a statement, your own people and your own government has made a statement that we are getting water from Madai for irrigation. So then they immediately come back, file a rejoinder, and they say, no, we also want for irrigation purposes. Because internationally, it is not unknown of a trans-basin diversion. It is possible. There could be a basin which is completely deficient in water. So from a water sufficient basin, there are cases in Canada, Ontario and all, even in California, where water has been diverted from one basin to the other basin which is deficient. And this is something permissible basically because it's a water deficient basin. Now our Madai basin is in itself a water deficient basin. Please go to Anjune today. I do not know if you have traveled through the Chorla Ghat. Please go there and see for yourself. You can see dry patches of river. Now, unfortunately in Goa, we do not have under our town planning laws, etc., the water harvesting as one of the necessary things. Our regional plan also does not speak about water harvesting. it speaks about other things including conversions, which is predominantly seen there. But I'm sure the government of Goa will now take a stand that water is something, it's a natural resource which is required to be conserved, and make it a part of the fundamental duty of every citizen that you must, while constructing a house, you must store the rainwater and harvest it and make good use of it. Tamil Nadu incidentally has done it. It is compulsory in every building and house. Karnataka, one of the arguments before the tribunal was that out of the 76 kilometers in Goa, we cannot, our dependable yield is 76 minus 52. In other words, 52 kilometers, which is saline, should be completely left out. It should not be counted as our share. They are objecting to it. They say, no, if it is saline water also, then you should be able to use it. Why do you allow the water to go into saline? You have no projects for, you have no irrigation projects, you have no hydropower projects. All these are their arguments. But the basic case is that up to Ganjem is only the utilizable yield. It is number 3. Why do we object to a trans-basin diversion? We object to a trans-basin diversion essentially because when a water is utilized within the basin, part of the utilized water comes back. It reverts back. At least 10 to 15% of the water comes back and retains within. It becomes a part of the groundwater, etc. If you divert the water, surely it's going to affect that groundwater also. Now, affecting of the groundwater, any depletion of the groundwater would cause severe environmental hazards. So, in one hand, we have problems because if they go ahead, our waterfalls will stop, Dudhsagar and Surla will stop. Our ecological system would be damaged severely. Our whole ecosystem on which wildlife, the human life, the agriculture, all these are predominantly dependent, would be vitally affected, and this damage would be irreversible. Fourth, any depletion would take adverse effect on sedimentation. Now, most of you who are good in hydrology would know what a sedimentation is. This is not an occasion to ceremonize on it, but it would also in turn affect the fishing species, the marine organisms which are there. It will lead to depletion of the marine organism. The wide variety of fishes which we have in Goa is also going to be affected. And as the leader of opposition was mentioning, the saline water possibility of going, if not for the weir which we have constructed, would go right up to further ingress beyond Ganjem. Now, Karnataka, in fact, it's an interesting point which they made. First, they came and thought that Goa fight would be pre-2012, where Goa, some lawyer in Supreme Court used to look after the matter. They used to adjourn it. It merrily went on from 2002 onwards till 2012. 2012, when we took up the matter, and we took it up very seriously. Unfortunately, insofar as the work is concerned, in 2012, Karnataka had completed 86% of the work. And mind you, if 86% of the work is completed, remaining 14% is something which would hardly affect us. But what would affect us definitely was if they were permitted to divert the river, which in fact Karnataka wanted to divert. The matter was heard, and finally at the end of the hearing, sensing what the tribunal would do, Karnataka's lawyer Mr. Nariman probably well advised Karnataka and made a statement that they would not divert till the matter is finally heard by the tribunal. So to that extent, we have been able to save Madai and its water insofar as Goa is concerned. Take the other state, Maharashtra. Since Karnataka is constructing 12 dams, Maharashtra thought